they wanted a person of her caliber. I guess he just happened to be white. I don't know,
Right.
but she had to be white. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I was telling about my book.
Right.
You know? And see, I know that some people cannot talk about drugs.
Right.
And the law has made you afraid or skeptical about talking about drugs. You see what I'm saying? And we need to talk about drugs because drugs and words equals knowledge of good and evil. And you can't get away from that.
I mean, not only
You just
that,
can't get away.
I think we need to talk about drugs because it's a huge part of our society. If you take drugs, people be like, don't talk about drugs. You take drugs out the economy, bruh, it'd be so many broke people. There'd be no more cops. There'd be no more jail.
We'd have to dig up the earth and you couldn't plant nothing.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Because they pop up automatically. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's always something popping out the ground that you can experiment with. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's where all your herbs came from. These synthetics that they're giving to you across the counter, not going to do what natural stuff do.
Right. They trying to replicate God.
What? He said you can't put old fat on a new garment. That wouldn't look good. You know what I'm saying? That wouldn't do good either. And see, I brought all this stuff out here because these are all drugs. Old-fashioned stuff. You see what I'm saying? Cannabis from the land of Canaan. That's where it came from.
What, marijuana?
Hemp, yeah. Yeah. See?
The hidden story of cannabis in the Old Testament.
Cannabis. You know, they switched the name. They switched the name after slavery. You know, that's when they switched it to marijuana and made a law to support it. See? Scripture said we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but against principles, and against principalities, and against principles of darkness, and against spiritual wickedness in high places. We don't need to wrestle with flesh and blood. Most of your violence, the bulk of your violence is coming from the non-inhaler, including the police. If they were trained with it, then they would know about it. But they're jittery, you know what I'm saying, because they don't have that other piece. You see what I'm saying? They haven't been, senses has not been exercised by the reason of use.
Well, I think it's a lack of education, man. They just don't know. A lot of people just ignorant, like, you know what I'm saying? They just go with
it for the lack of knowledge.
Yeah, they just go with whatever people say. They just believe that shit. Like,
because they don't have anything else.
Right.
If you had something else, you said, "Oh man, I got something else to talk about." You know. If you had the other pieces, then you could talk about that. You know. But people, like the girl at the bookstore, when I mentioned drugs and the scripture, she got offended. Huh? She got offended. Now I can't get my book looked at because she got offended. Now there had been a person there that had inhaled, then they would reason with it. They might not believe it, but they had some words to work with. They had the spirit to work with. She did not have the spirit. See what I'm saying? Because this so-called marijuana, flax, this so-called marijuana taps into your spirit. It takes you back to the big G. It stands in place of the unseen God. That's in your scripture. I didn't make that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't write it either. But I can reason with it because my spirit has been exercised. My sense has been exercised. I started backwards in drugs. By the time I got to the weed, I said, this is it right here. I don't need this other stuff y'all talking about.
That's what happened to me.
I don't need this. All I need now is some understanding because my taking in the use, my taking was thought. And you can't get no higher than, you can't get no higher than your thought.
No, you can't.
You know what I'm saying? You can't go above your thoughts.
You can't.
If it will do, I don't want to know about it. Don't come.
I mean, you can't get no higher than you think you are. So,
You know what I'm saying? and you got to have the words to do that.
Right.
Huh?
Right.
You have to have the discernment to do that. Or that desire, which is sexual anyway, yielding after its own kind. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's too hard to understand.
I mean, most people, man, just like, their brain is so narrow, and they've been, you know what I'm saying, like, people just been brainwashed. I mean, you can just open your mind to anything. When you first open your mind, then open a book. You know what I'm saying? Do that. Open your mind and then open a book, man. Read for yourself, bro. The stuff you walk around preaching, know what you talking about, y'all. There's so many people that quote scripture out the Bible.
That's right.
They don't know shit about the Bible.
Don't know.
They don't know nothing about it. All they know is Jesus said this, Mark said this, but you don't know how they got to say that. You don't never speak on Moses or Abraham. You don't never speak on the forefathers. You just speak on, oh, all right, since Jesus came, we forgiven for our sin. We don't even need to know the Old Testament. No, man, you need to know how God worked, regardless of when it was. Am I right or wrong? You need to know how you came into existence. How did you get here to be able to do stuff and God not kill you like he did in the Old Testament when your ass went against that law?
Yeah.
Feel me? Balance is straight. He's smooth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? How you get to that point? You skipped all that. You don't even know why. Because see, if you reason why and understand how you got to that point, you'll live a better life.
That's why I tell you about ignore. When you ignore it, it's going to come up short. You see what I'm saying? You got to get it as you go along. You know what I'm saying? Like I was reading this morning, but the tithe, the mint and root.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? These things you ought to have done, but not leave the others undone. You know what I'm saying? Get the whole thing. You know, Jesus questioned his disciples about words, discerning words. And a good example was when he fed the multitude. When he fed the multitude, he told